今日のビデオでは日本語を上達させるためにチェンソーマンの漫画をもう一度読んでいる理由について話します。Have you ever picked up something you read in Japanese long ago and tried reading it again more recently? Was it so much easier than you remembered? 2 years ago, I started reading the Japanese manga Chainsaw Man. Being new to Japanese, I could hardly understand a word, but I kept pushing myself and read through to the end of the first 11 volumes before taking a break. Now that some time has passed, I've started reading the series again with the intention of improving my Japanese. It's only been a couple of days, but this time it's like night and day. So let's talk about why reading a manga series again is a good idea. And stick around so I can share some suggestions on how you can learn Japanese by reading manga the right way. I was first introduced to Chainsaw Man when my wife put on the anime one evening. She had already watched a couple of episodes, but from what I saw, I was hooked and wanted to watch more. Then one weekend, while on the way to visit family, we stopped by a Japanese bookstore and I picked up a couple of volumes. The first volume probably took me close to 6 weeks to get through, and I didn't understand anything, but I kept on going. And as I got the chance, I bought more, though in Canada they cost 3 or 4 times as much as they would in Japan, so I was always a little reluctant to buy more. But most of what I was getting out of these early readings was practice sounding out words and seeing new kanji. While I didn't understand much of what I was reading, I did look up lots of words in the dictionary and save them for later. One thing I noticed was that a lot of the words I didn't know showed up frequently, so there weren't actually as many words to learn as I had originally expected. And as I had the time, I created Anki cards from the words that were saved in my dictionary, and over the last few months I've had a chance to slowly learn them all. It probably took me 7 or 8 months to get through the first 5 in the series, but my skill level was improving, so it was getting easier, and the 5th took a fraction of the time it took to read the first. Then last summer, when we took a trip to Japan, I was able to pick up the next 6 volumes at a used bookstore. I was also relieved as they cost less than 2 would have cost back home in Canada. Reading those next 6 went much quicker, probably taking closer to 4 months, and seeing the improvement in my speed was encouraging, but I know I still have a long way to go as my wife can get through one of these volumes in a single evening. I only started rereading a couple days ago, but it's like night and day. Now when I read, I know what the words mean, so instead of having to look up every single word, I can understand and take time to notice the grammar. That said, I still don't have the grammar down perfectly, but now I can focus more of my energy on trying to understand it. I can also say that now that I know more words, I am spending much less time looking up words. So the whole reading process is moving much more quickly, and once again I have the opportunity to appreciate what I'm actually reading. Truth be told, it feels much better to be able to understand what you're reading, and I kind of feel like my confidence in my Japanese skills have increased because of this. So this is a great reason to read something over again once you've had some time to learn the vocabulary that you didn't know originally. And now that I've shared my story, let's talk about how you can learn Japanese by reading manga. The first thing you need to do is focus on the level or age-appropriate content. This was completely untrue for me. As I said before, this manga was way over my level when I tried to read it for the first time, but after having some time to learn the vocabulary and improve my Japanese in general, it's turning out to be much more understandable and level appropriate. One of the first mangas I tried to read was Yotsubato, and that was more skill level appropriate. But even with that, there were lots of words I wasn't sure about. I'd say if you're getting started with reading manga, that would be a good place to start. The next thing you want to do is look up words that you don't know and save them for later. But do this in moderation. If you look up every word you don't know, you aren't going to make much progress and it isn't going to be any fun. This also brings us back to the original point about level appropriate content. If you have to look up so many words that you can't even enjoy what you're reading, then maybe it's a little bit too difficult for you and you need to try something different. For me, I did this the first time and now it's making reading it the second time so much easier. But having a more extensive vocabulary is going to make reading anything easier. Repetition is key. People often talk about how kids love to repeat the books they like. I remember how my daughter used to have me read the same book over and over again, and then she would notice if I missed a word or pronounced it differently than I had in the past. It is also said that this is part of the process by which kids learn a new language. They repeat something until it gets stuck in their minds. For me, reading this a second time is a great chance to see the content again and get a chance to practice it more and build off of what I already learned the first time that I read it. In addition, manga are pretty expensive here, so it makes sense to read them over again. You know, recycling. Next, rinse and repeat. While the manga I was reading was over my level, I kept reading every night before bed for more than a year, and that kind of routine helps. You might not be making huge advancements every day, but repeating the process is the key to being successful slowly, which is really the only way that you can learn a new language like Japanese. Nothing happens overnight, so keep at it and you will see progress gradually. For you, you may not be ready to read a manga series over again, but it may be helpful to reread what you've you've already read, rather than picking up something new. So give it a try. Let me know if you have any experience learning Japanese through reading manga. Click the like button if you found this informative, and subscribe for more content like this.